SummerSlam 2020 weekend is off to a fabulous start. We just came off a marvelous NXT Takeover 30 event with a lot of big matches and a lot of big outcomes. It was also going head-to-head with a very interesting AEW Dynamite show. This was a fun Saturday night, I gotta tell you. So we're here to talk about it. Man, I was trying to scramble. I knew it was going to take me a few minutes to get up here live. I apologize for those of you who've been waiting for me to get here, but I wanted to update, the overlay and the thumbnail and all that stuff because we had some new champions crowned at NXT Takeover. That is where 95% of my attention was focused throughout the night. I did have Dynamite on in the background, and I caught a little bit of it and pretty much missed what happened at the end of it, even though I know we have a brand new TNT champion, and it looks like the Rhodes family got murdered. So there was some interesting stuff taking place on AEW. Tonight's TakeOver card, despite the fact that we are in the COVID era, we've got an audience-less show, and I was actually under the assumption, I got to plead ignorance here, I actually thought that everything was taking place in the Thunderdome. I thought NXT was going to be there as well, so I was a little bit surprised when the show started to see that it was back at the PC, but I guess that's, what they're doing. So no big deal. The show was still great. I think there were some parts of the show that really suffered with no audience there, but in the end, WWE, they didn't walk through this, and they did what I suspected they might, and what I mentioned in my predictions on Thursday, and that is put the belt on Karrion Cross. Not since Brock Lesnar have we seen a guy that's risen this fast, this quick upon his debut. And I thought that if WWE ever wanted to have the chance to ever recreate that aura that Brock had, I'm not saying they're going to do it, but if they ever wanted to have a chance to, this is probably one of their best chances they've had, in terms of what a killer, no pun intended, Karrion Cross has been since getting there, and the fact that he's mowed down everybody and going into the ring against a star the caliber of Lee, a guy that's super impressive, super tough, super big, super strong, and putting him down clean in the middle, that might be what you have to do. And I mentioned on Thursday, I don't think it's going to harm Keith Lee at all. There's going to be some people, I'm sure there's going to be people in the chat that say this is too soon. You have the right to have that opinion, and you might even turn out to be proven right in the future. But I was kind of on board with this idea. If WWE did decide to go through with it, put the belt on Cross, I was going to support it, get behind it, and that has not changed. I'm actually kind of glad he won, and I'm interested to see where this goes now. Maybe this bumps Keith Lee up to the main roster. Maybe after a rematch, I don't know. Moves Karrion Cross into a bunch of programs, maybe with Tommaso Ciampa and some other guys defending the title, and he'll be our heel ass-kicking champion, maybe for the duration of the pandemic era here. So we got a lot to digest, a lot to take in. Luckily, we don't have a shit ton of matches to get into. This was only a 5-match card, actually a 6-match card if you count the pre-show, and we'll kind of vaguely discuss some of the Dynamite stuff too, and you guys might have to help fill me in. But in terms of the show, what did you guys think? Thumbs up, thumbs down, A, B, C, D. How did you like TakeOver 30? I personally liked it. I'm going to have to maybe reserve my grade, my letter grade or anything like that until the end as we discuss it. But I'm going to give the show a pretty decent grade because I thought the ladder match was good. The women's match was phenomenal. And the main event, crowned a new champion and launched a guy and has made a real deal star out of Karrion Cross. And I'm actually a little bit surprised WWE did it, but I'm happy they did it. Anyway, I'm here now. Can I be heard? Yeah, I'm here. Good to go. Happy Saturday to everybody. I took the whole weekend off so I could enjoy SummerSlam weekend. We'll be up here tomorrow night as well, immediately following SummerSlam, maybe 10 or 15 minutes later than that so I can get my ducks in a row, but make sure you're here tomorrow night as well because I'm sure that we're going to have no shortage of shit to talk about after the SummerSlam tagline that has you'll never see it coming. So, anywho, we'll get into these results here in a second. I'll let people kind of file into the chat. Now, I know you guys have a ton of options tonight, so those of you who are here, I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you being here listening to me, because I'm sure every YouTuber and their mother is up on YouTube right now live discussing this show. So, we had a fun night, though, watching the show, watching it on Twitter. I was amazed by a few things and pleasantly surprised by a few as well, and all in all, good night. And yeah, and we're going to talk about that, Bo. I'm not a big fan of Pat McAfee, and what annoys me even more about him is that he's fucking good. He really is. And I knew that, I knew that in his promo. And WWE's not going to put a guy like that in an NXT ring if he can't go, you know what I mean? Triple H is not stupid. So the celebrities that can't do anything, the celebrities that are just not believable, that have no concept or understanding about wrestling or how to wrestle or how to cut a promo or any of that stuff, those people need to be reserved for Raw or SmackDown. Guys like Tyson Fury and shit like that. This is one of the better or the best celebrity or outside athlete match WWE's ever had. I mean, it's right up there with LT and Bam Bam. And when I say LT and Bam Bam, I'm saying looking at that match through 1995 eyes, not 2020 eyes. But in terms of how that match impressed me at the time, this was similar because McAfee brought it. He was good on the mic, he was good in the build of this thing, and he was very good in the ring and showed, how athletic he was. And luckily for me, luckily for my inner wrestling fan, the right guy won in that scenario. Which was not the case at WrestleMania 11, regardless of how impressive LT was. So anyway, I was pretty much happy with the outcome of every match. The only match, my predictions were, I'm going to call my predictions perfect because you guys were here on Thursday night. You heard my predictions. I have been picking Johnny Gargano to win the North American title ever since Keith Lee was still a double champion. So I felt like I just had to stick with it. But as the weeks went on and they started building this ladder match, we all kind of had Damian Priest pegged in our head. And I mentioned that on Thursday. I'm like, I have to pick Gargano just because I have to. But if I was forced to put money on it, I'm putting my money on Priest. And he won. He's the new North American title holder. And all my other predictions were correct. So technically I got the ladder match wrong. But everything else I nailed right on the head, including the title match. And I'm really happy that Io Shirai retained because had she dropped the belt to Dakota, I would have felt that it would be a shoo-in for Keith Lee to retain. Surely we're not going to have 3 brand new champions all in this one show, right? But, maybe. So the whole time, that match was happening, I was like, if I want to have any hope at all for Karrion to win the title, I need Io to retain here. So that's kind of the way I was looking at the women's match as that was going on. But the women's match was really good, was it not? Set up some stuff at the end with Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez, which I liked, but the match itself was really good. I've always been a big Dakota Kai fan. I fully expect her to be NXT Women's Champion one day. I just didn't feel like it would be here. So, yeah, anyway, all in all, we'll go through this individually here and see what you guys think. 7 out of 10, B+, B-, 8 out of 10. All right, we got some pretty good grades, letter and number grades coming in here. And yeah, a lot of people were saying the same thing, that Cole and McAfee really delivered. They did, and it was the same way on social media. Everybody was like, wow, dude, it's pretty damn good. I think maybe I was expecting a few more swerves than maybe we got or whatever, but, we'll discuss that once we get to that match. But I want to start with Dynamite real quick because I'm not going to spend much time on it. I wasn't able to see it other than just eyeballing it. I did have it on a second screen here. I turned up the volume a couple of times. I saw the opening match, FTR defeating Private Party. I liked that because Tully Blanchard was at ringside backing up FTR, even had the cool Tully jacket on with FTR on the back. I like that. So I'm guessing he's officially their manager now, along with Sean Spears. So Spears is either they're going to get jealous of that and, maybe find his own partner, which I swear they teased that at one point, Spears finding a partner and feud with FTR, or Tully's building a stable. Either way, I'm actually fine with whatever direction they go in there, so that was cool. We also saw Chris Jericho challenging Orange Cassidy to a Mimosa Mayhem match, and I have no idea why it never occurred to me, being a restaurant and bar guy, it never occurred to me that Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy make a mimosa, champagne and orange juice. Never once crossed my mind about that. So Jericho then challenges him to this Mimosa Mayhem match. Apparently, the rules are you can win via pinfall, submission, or by throwing your opponent into a vat of mimosas. I don't know. That's kind of an out there concept. Jericho even mentioned on the mic that he came up with one of the most popular I guess, what am I trying to say here? Most popular gimmick matches of all time, he said, involving a ladder and a briefcase, because the Money in the Bank match was kind of his brainchild a little bit. So he's come up with another one here. I don't know how good this match is going to be. If it's going to be something crazy like that, I don't think they should add pinfall or submission. You should just win by throwing the dude in the vat of mimosas. I think it would be more funny and more fun if Jericho and Cassidy got wasted off mimosas first and then wrestled each other in a scaffold match. That would be entertaining. So we'll see what they do at All Out. That's when this match apparently is taking place. It will be the rubber match between the two, Jericho and Cassidy, in a Mimosa Mayhem match. And another just delightful piece of news coming out of Dynamite. I didn't see it happen. I just saw the pictures on social media. NWA Women's Champion Thunder Rosa has shown up on Dynamite. That's fantastic. We saw Ricky Starks turn up not long ago. And I would love to see, more of a working relationship with the NWA, who isn't able to even run any TV right now. Or any shows. and hook up with AEW a little bit. I thought NWA was doing something with Ring of Honor, so I wasn't sure there. I don't know what the story is on that, but very cool to see her there. That women's division can need all the help it can get, or can use all the help it can get. The one thing I don't think it needs, however, is 2 championship belts. But she's apparently either going to be there at least for a match or at least to pass through. That's good for her. We all absolutely adore her and wish her the best. So I thought that was great. And then in the main event, I missed it, but I did switch over and catch the ending. And by the ending, I saw Cody Rhodes laid out on the ramp. Looked like he had already been on a stretcher because he had like the oxygen shit on. I can't even say it. Oxygen thing on his face. And he was laying on the ramp. It looked like the old silver TNT Championship belt was broken and destroyed, laying around him. Brandy was also laid out. Arn Anderson was also laid out. And Brody Lee was walking away with the TNT title. So I missed the entire match, but I do know that Brody won the title, and they completely destroyed the Rhodes family at the end. So if you guys want to fill me in any of the juicy details there, feel free. I missed it, but it looked like an interesting end, and I caught like the last 90 seconds of it. And it was definitely interesting. And AEW, they didn't phone this one in. You know, they were going up against TakeOver 30, and it looked like, for the most part, they put on a pretty decent Dynamite for a Saturday night show. It's going to be interesting to see what they draw for the ratings, because if they can do higher than what NXT did unopposed on Wednesday, I think that's going to be a big victory for them. You know, if they can come above that 800,000 viewer mark when they're going up against a pay-per-view on the WWE Network, that's going to be impressive, especially on an off night when fans aren't even used to seeing Dynamite on TV. So I think the ratings will be very, very interesting, and they likely will not be available to us, I would guess, until Monday, since it's the weekend here. But I think it'll be cool to see what they did and what kind of viewership they drew. But if anybody watched the entire show, let me know what you thought of Dynamite. Pros, cons, good, whatever. From what I saw, it's a pretty damn good show. Naveed, you're giving it a solid B. Homie cow, B+. Wrestling fan for life, 10 out of 10, A+. I don't know, as much as I like TakeOver tonight, I don't know if I can give it a 10 out of 10. Best I'm probably going to be able to do is what Sonic says, is maybe an 8 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10, hard B+, something like that is probably what I'd give the event tonight. But anyway, that kind of runs through Dynamite. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on if you guys want. We'll get into TakeOver results now. Pre-show kicked off on the WWE Network and on YouTube with that triple threat number 1 contenders tag match with Breezango, Birch and Lorcan, and Phantasma. I picked the heel. I picked Phantasma to win this, but Breezango did. So Fandango and Tyler Breeze are now going to get a shot at the NXT Tag Team titles, currently held by fucking Imperium, correct? So that's kind of weird. I don't know. I feel like the tag team division was better a little while ago, but whatever. Didn't really care who won that match, and still don't. So that was it for the pre-show. Other than that, on the pre-show, nothing was going on. It was Scott Stanford and Sam Roberts and Booker T zooming in with some stuff, and that's all we got there. I didn't really pay much attention to that. On the main card, we opened up with a dandy. Finn Balor taking on Timothy Thatcher, a match that I nearly missed in my predictions until somebody pointed it out to me in the chat on Thursday. Did not have that one written down. Somehow missed the announcement of that, but I did pick Balor to win, and he did. Thatcher, I'm a huge fan of. Thatcher's old school. Thatcher's a tough son of a bitch, and I love him, but I might like Finn Balor a little bit more. Thatcher, I would like to eventually see hold gold. You know, I'd like to see him be a guy to hold the North American title. Maybe he can be the one to defeat Damian Priest for it eventually down the road. I'd have no issue with that. Thatcher's, I like his old school ring gear. I even mentioned that on Twitter. Just he's got the blue trunks with TT on the back. You know, Timothy Thatcher. So many wrestlers like from the 80s would just wear a, you know, plain colored pair of trunks with just their initials on it. So old school. I love it. I love his old school look. I love his old school style. Love everything about him. But Balor's still the man, and I'm glad he didn't lose again because he just dropped a match to Dream on Wednesday, right? So after that, we got the big ladder match. 5-man ladder match. Velveteen Dream taking on Bronson Reed, taking on Cameron Grimes, taking on Damian Priest, and taking on Johnny Gargano. Now, as all of you know, I was, predicting Gargano right off the bat. I kind of thought that, with his new heel persona and the alliance with Candice, the belt would look good on him. But other people argue that he didn't need the belt because of all of that, which I can see that. But I still kind of wanted him to win nearly all the way up until the end there. But as WWE started qualifying these entrants, and you started seeing some of these guys that hadn't really gotten shots yet, like Bronson Reed and Cameron Grimes and stuff. I'm like, you know what? I can see Priest winning this. And he was kind of my pick. Had I not, opened up my mouth about Gargano so many weeks ago, I definitely would have picked Priest here based on the momentum and what was going on TV and everything. But we had it was close. Gargano came very close. Candice LeRae got involved in this as well. Big shout out to Bronson Reed for the awesome Bam Bam Bigelow inspired ring gear. I like that a lot on his trunks and on his jacket. Velveteen Dream came out there with one of those Scott Steiner things on his head, and he's been known to do that before. He's come out dressed as Hogan twice, right, as the NWO Hogan and the red and yellow. Might have had some other themed gear as well throughout the years at takeovers, but Dream is not he's not everyone's favorite right now based on some of the controversy going on with him, and I think it would have been a big mistake if WWE would have put him over in this match. They would have just caught a ton of flack for that, and the fact that he's also been North American champion too, has he not? So I feel like it was time to put the belt on somebody new. Gargano and Dream have both had it. All these other guys are kind of new. Slap it on one of them. They had me fooled a couple times there. I actually thought that maybe that little wormy-ass Cameron Grimes was going to walk away with the belt. He had some close calls up there on the ladder. I love the split spot that he did. That was good stuff. Like I said, Candice LeRae came out there to try to help her husband. She got involved and just straight up beat the crap out of Cameron Grimes, just punching him right in the middle of the ring. Gargano then lifts Candice up, and she does this big Hurricane Rana from onto Grimes onto a couple of guys on the outside of the ring. That was very cool. I thought she was going to help Gargano win that title. Bronson Reed gets his hands on her. He is up on the ladder, and she climbs up there after him or something. Whatever winds up happening, she's on the back of Bronson Reed, and Gargano's on the ground, and he is on the ladder with her on his back, and he splashes Gargano with Candice on his back in a phenomenal spot. It reminded me a lot of an old match, and I can't remember when it was. Sometime in 98 for sure. It was with Vader and Goldust, I think, and Luna Vachon. And Vader had Vader bombed Goldust with Luna on his back, and it was just a fantastic looking visual. They might have even done that spot more than once, because in my mind I picture something similar happening at WrestleMania 14, but I might be wrong. But there's another match involving Goldust and Vader that was kind of like that, and that spot reminded me of that. So that was a great spot. Love Candice getting involved there physically. Velveteen Dream at one point takes a huge bump. Now, I didn't know where the commentary table would normally be, during a non-pandemic era. I guess they don't have plexiglass up there. So he's up on the top of the ladder. Somebody pushes him off, and he dives completely out of frame. Even the announcers are like, where did he go? He went so far over the barricade. There were two tables on the outside there, but it looked like he even overshot that and maybe only clipped the edge or hit the second table on the end there. So he took a nasty fall off there, which I like that a lot. The finish was a little funny. You had Gargano getting up to the top. I thought he was going to win it. He even had the belt unhooked, but Damian Priest was up there with him. He unhooks the other side, and they've kind of got this tug-of-war thing going on. Finally, Priest is able to knock Johnny off of the ladder and grab the title for himself, and he has won the North American title. He had a hell of a celebration in the back. He jumped into a hot tub with leather pants on with a couple of chicks. Who would have thought that me and Damian Priest celebrate things the same way? Very crazy. And there was an awesome picture that I had to include in the thumbnail of Triple H joining him for a photo. That was cool. And I think based on the reaction on social media, everybody was cool with that outcome. I'm happy that Priest won. A lot of people like Damian Priest. I feel like he's a guy that the fans will turn on in time, but right now, he's put the work in. He's impressive. He's a big guy, and he's good. And I'm glad that they're, continuing to create new people to hold titles, and NXT doesn't do the same type of stuff that WWE does, or that the main roster does. Excuse me. So congrats to Damian Priest. Match was good. Outcome was good. I was happy with all of it. Right person won. I agree. That was the Rumble. Thank you for that chat site forums. I knew somebody would know what the hell I was talking about. What's going on, Ungovernable? Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit. I didn't really watch the whole show. I watched the Vince and Fiend stuff. I watched Braun choke slamming Braun onto the cement, and then he comes through the ambulance. I saw the Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose stuff where they kind of upped the ante a little bit in their match tomorrow. And the Thunderdome in general, I like it better than the PC. Very mixed reviews. A lot of people are saying they liked it a lot. They're on board. It feels like WWE is back. Like we can sort of get back to some sense of normalcy, even though this is very strange. I'm almost in the middle. I'm not completely sold like the Thunderdome is the greatest thing I've ever seen or anything, because like we've been saying, you can have all the lasers and pyro you want. If you don't have any sort of compelling storylines or continuity or creative integrity, it's going to suck no matter what kind of, or what kind of money you spend on effects and shit. So that they were going to need to do more than that to up these ratings. And I really hope Vince in his head doesn't think that LED boards equals ratings. He's got to be a fool to think that. So I don't know. But all in all, I definitely liked it better. The fan thing, all the Zoom calls there, I was never really too concerned about that. Because people are like, oh, fans are going to sabotage it. I don't even think they can. They can probably be muted or just the screen blacked off or whatever. Nobody's going to be able to whip out their little 2-inch dick on the monitor or anything. It's not even going to be worth it to worry about it. Some people feel it's visually distracting. I can see that, but I don't know how it would really be any more visually distracting than a regular audience or an Attitude Era audience with signs and all the other shit they used to carry to the show and stuff. So I'm almost in the middle. I don't think Thunderdome is necessarily a game changer, but it's definitely better than the last 6 months of stuff, or 5 months, whatever it's been at the PC. It was interesting, and I think in time, too, it will grow on us maybe. Maybe some of the ones that don't like it so much will, it'll start to grow on them, or they'll start to accept it a little bit more, and we'll get used to it. And that's the thing. I mean, a lot of people have been saying this. I've been saying it a couple times on the podcast that, professional wrestling may have been forced into a completely new identity, a completely new era now due to this COVID stuff. And, we talked about a few weeks ago on the podcast about maybe WWE doing something like finding one arena to produce TV in for the foreseeable future and save all that money on travel and save all that money on production costs. And we saw that in their Q2 earnings call, how much money they saved and how much profits they made since they don't have to worry about those costs anymore. And they might be able to look at that now and say, even when fans are allowed back, maybe we shouldn't go back to the old travel schedule. Maybe we should do TV from one place and then reserve pay-per-views for cities or for big arenas or for fans or whatever. That might be the way of the future. We're into a completely new era here. So yeah, the Thunderdome was weird, but I'm certainly glad we're getting that and not SummerSlam from the PC. But we'll get into Thunderdome a little bit more later on after we wrap up these NXT Takeover results. After the ladder match and after Priest's victory, we had Adam Cole taking on Pat McAfee. Now, I was convinced here that something big was going to happen. Pat McAfee, even though he's a brand new guy, he's never wrestled before, I was really worried that WWE would put him over, because in these situations, they do. What happens every time an outside athlete gets in the ring? They fucking win. We see that all the time. We saw it with Tyson Fury and with Lawrence Taylor, and I'm sure you guys can think of 20 other examples of this. So McAfee going in there against Adam Cole, a guy who just came off like a year-plus run with the NXT title, the wrestling fan with me was like, they better not put this motherfucker over, Adam Cole, unless they do something crazy like have the Undisputed Era turn. And I thought that was a legitimate chance, because on Wednesday, correct me if I'm wrong, there was no physicality, right, between the Undisputed Era and McAfee and his boys. They were just out there backing up Adam Cole, but I don't think they ever really got physical, and they didn't here either in this match. Now, they showed some footage earlier on in the day of Pat McAfee showing up with his NFL boys, and Regal was there, and Regal basically banned them all from ringside. He's like, you guys are not, it's one-on-one, you're not going to be out there anywhere near this match or whatever, but McAfee brings them out there anyway, and they're all wearing Cole Sucks shirts, which I thought was funny, because I just pretend it's Michael Cole, and it doesn't make me mad. And they stay there. They're like at ringside. So I was like, I thought Regal banned those assholes, but they were allowed to be out there for whatever reason. The Undisputed Era does wind up showing up. Another kind of a stare down. And is it McAfee? I think it's McAfee who moonsaults off the top. Or no, what does he do? He jumped onto everybody on the floor. I can't remember who did that. It was McAfee or Cole or anything. But you never saw any sort of brawling between the two little groups. So I was like, oh shit, maybe the only way McAfee gets a win here is if Adam Cole gets turned on by his Undisputed Era guys. And maybe they join up with Pat McAfee or something, but that didn't wind up happening. What wound up happening is that we got an amazing one-on-one match. Straight one-on-one. I think after that little scuffle when all 6 guys showed up, Undisputed Era and McAfee's NFL friends left, leaving the match one-on-one between the two. And McAfee, he was impressive, and we figured he would be. Like I said earlier, Triple H isn't going to put him in the ring if he's a complete pile of shit. He's not going to do that in NXT. You can get away with that shit on Raw because we expect garbage, but you're not going to do that on NXT. He better know what he's doing in there if they're going to give him a pay-per-view match at the 30th Takeover. When you got a locker room full of hardworking kids that deserve a pay-per-view match or a spot on a card like that, and you give it to this fucker, and he doesn't know what he's doing, big mistake. But he did know what he was doing, and he did a great job. And I think that's what annoys me the most about him, because he's just, he's really easy to hate. He's a great heel, because he is good on the mic. And he does just look, he has a douchebag face. He has a douchebag face. Everything about him is just one big douche. You know what I mean? Which is what makes him so perfect for wrestling. And they started out, I mean, they locked up a couple of times. You saw some headlocks, some takeovers, some actual wrestling happening there. Some nice counters from McAfee. He had a few things scouted, which was really interesting. And one amazing spot that he did after he'd already been impressing us for a while, he moonsaults off the top and lands on his feet. I think they're both up there, and maybe like a superplex type of thing. McAfee backflips off, lands perfectly on his feet in the middle of the ring, surprising Adam Cole. Cole is on the top turnbuckle like, holy shit. And then McAfee runs and leaps and jumps onto the top rope in one jump and superplexes Cole off. And I was like, wow, that's good stuff. You know, he's an athlete. He's a football player. You know, he's a tough guy. So it's not like he's incapable of being athletic, but I didn't think he would be that good. He's obviously been training and working out for a while. Even a small little spot, it was small, but I noticed it on the mat when Adam Cole tries to put on the figure 4 leg lock, and he blocks it. He blocks it with his hands, like he knew exactly what to look for and how to put that move on and how to effectively block it. Cole eventually cinched it on, and then McAfee reversed it, turned it over once, and actually, kind of understood how to counter a move and shit. It was just, it was pretty good. We wound up seeing near the end, he gets a quick low blow to Adam Cole when the referee is not looking. So we didn't get a ref bump. He just didn't see it. And once he hits Cole with a low blow, he punts him, kicks him right in the head, much like he did on the announce desk on NXT a couple of weeks ago. And Adam Cole kicks out. I thought that might be the finish. I'm like, not a low blow. I mean, I know even though it's cheating, I need McAfee to cheat more than that if he's going to win. So when Adam Cole kicked out, I was like, thank God. Cole comes back, mounts an offensive, eventually hits the Panama City Sunrise onto Pat McAfee, and doesn't even go for the last shot. Goes for the pin and gets it and pins him. So that match was made successful to me also by the winner, because I think if McAfee would have won with that low blow and punt, I don't know if I would have loved the match as much as I did. I just really wanted Adam Cole to win that, and he did. And props to Pat McAfee, who brought it and showed that he can wrestle and that he's not completely useless. Now, he wasn't perfect in there. He definitely looked like somebody that was not a 10-year veteran, but for someone who, like he said, has been training for 2 weeks, which is bullshit. We know he's been working out in the ring longer than that. He definitely was impressive, and that was it's not as big of a stage as it would have been if it was in front of an audience or anything, but still, you're on pay-per-view, you're on the network. This is a major show. It's your first match, and not only was he impressive, but he seemed comfortable out there. Like, he seemed aware. He seemed to know what he was doing, know where he was. His timing was pretty good, and he couldn't have been in there with anybody better. I mean, sure, Adam Cole, and him really worked hard on putting that match together, but still, he deserves credit. He deserves a lot of credit for how he performed in this match, and I thought it was real good. Now, I'm curious here, since we didn't get any of the swerves that I thought we might get, because I was kind of thinking McAfee was going to win here, even though I predicted Adam Cole. I thought McAfee really had a chance if he had some interference or had some crazy, funny finish happening where you can go and have another match or have a return and do a blow-off there. But this might be a situation based on the finish here and the fact that no guys jumped in at the end of the match and there wasn't like a post-match brawl or a post-match beatdown or anything like that. This might be a situation where these two wind up respecting each other, because there was kind of that little look between the two of them after the match, a little nod from Adam Cole. I think this beef that they had has been settled. I think Adam Cole his character will respect that McAfee is actually pretty damn good and showed that he took it seriously and he got in there and trained. And McAfee will respect Cole for shitting on him for being little and small. And the only reason why he's where he is today is because he has the backup of the Undisputed Era, and he would never win anything or beat anybody in a real fight. And that's exactly what he did. So both guys kind of proved themselves to the other, even with Cole getting the clean victory there. So I like the story that was told. And in my mind, you don't really need to go any further with this. You don't need to have another match, do you? I'd almost like to see the guys just have a little maybe promo on NXT and maybe just a little fist bump. All right, we're cool. We're cool for now until you shit on me again or insult me again. For now, it's cool. Under the bridge, and they can both move on to doing something else. Or this will continue, or McAfee will say, I want another shot at you, or I don't like the way you won. I still think I can beat you. Or you can then do some more of the little swerves or storyline stuff that I suggested with Undisputed Era, getting involved, a potential turn here or whatever. But I don't really want to see them break up. I like the UE together, and I have no real desire to see them go their separate ways. So I'm happy that didn't happen. But that match was impressive. That was one of the better matches of the night, and far exceeded my expectations, even though deep down, and I know we talked about this on Thursday and probably in recent podcasts, I had a feeling it was going to be okay. I didn't think McAfee was going to go out there and shit the bed or anything, but I think he exceeded even what I thought he was capable of doing. So props to McAfee. Maybe we'll become a McAfee fan after all. All I know about Pat McAfee is I think he does my internet security for me. That's all I really know about him. But anywho, not bad. Chris Ludecki, thanks, dude, for the $5. Royal Rumble 98 was the Vader spot. Yeah, somebody had mentioned that as well. Thanks for that. Thanks for reminding me of that. I couldn't remember. But that was the first thing I thought of when I saw that spot was Luna jumping off or bouncing off the back of Vader there. Hometown Gamey, am I high? Yeah. Cole should stick to the indies where they belong. Yeah. You're one of those fuckers, aren't you? You're not welcome in here. Go fuck your dad. Not really sure what that means. Okay. Yeah. So you didn't like the dynamic of McAfee versus Cole? Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I've noticed about modern wrestling fans is that they just have, like, they're on it. They can't be impressed. They can't be impressed at all. Like, I swear, like, if you've never ran outside in the 1980s and bought a 1980s WWF ice cream bar from the back of an ice cream truck and then gone down in your basement and played with your LJN figures, don't fucking talk to me about dynamics of wrestling. Like, I just can't listen to that, from modern fans. I just don't. They just have a completely different view of everything. I thought the dynamic was fine. If you haven't noticed, Cole is a heel. He's been working he's been the babyface in this feud for me, but he is a heel. So I don't think it's really that weird that he worked as one. And plus, that stuff doesn't bother. I don't give a shit. I'm just looking for a good match. That's what I got. That's all I needed. Let's go up and knock out some of these super dupers. I had a few more that I missed before I answered that other one. Barry, there you are, dude. Good to see you. You really wanted Dakota to win? She will. She'll win. I think Dakota will be NXT champion. She was pretty impressive in that match, and she had a good outing, and I like her as a heel. I've liked her ever since she turned last year, and I'm hoping she does. And I think she will. I think eventually she'll taste gold. Might just be a while till we get that. All right, so I got yours. All right, cool. Yeah, there's no point in nitpicking when we've been treated to a good night of wrestling. All in all, when you see somebody that's never been in the ring before get in the ring, the last thing I'm going to do is like nitpick about the dynamic. It's this fucker's first match, and he was extremely impressive. He was much more impressive than a lot of professional wrestlers in their first match with the same level of training. So you at least got to give him that, Yeah, I saw your super. Barry. Just got it. Missed it earlier, though. What was the next matchup? Was the women's match, right? It was Io Shirai taking on Dakota Kai. So, yeah, like I said, really good match there. I thought that exceeded expectations as well because I predicted Io Shirai to win, but part of me thought that maybe Dakota could get the win here, but I just think it's not going to happen yet for her. And plus it was kind of confusing. They had Raquel Gonzalez return last week on NXT, right? Last Wednesday. They should have had her return here. and get involved in that. She returned kind of early, making me think that there's no way Dakota's going to win now. In my head, I just wasn't seeing it happen. But still, good match. You thought Dakota had a chance here when the referee took a bump. Referee was bumped. Dakota hits, Raquel jumps in the ring. And that's what's impressive about her. When the ref takes a bump, she gets in the ring, and I don't know what she calls that thing, but when she picks those women up and she slams them down with like one hand, that's just an incredible, that's like better than like a Sid or Undertaker choke slam or something, or Kane choke slam. I mean, she just lifts them up and just slams them right through the mat. So she goes in there, she picks up Io Shirai, and she just slams her right to hell. And Dakota, and she grabs the referee, pulls him over there. Dakota's pinning her, 1-2, and Io Shirai kicks out. So I loved that Io was able to survive that attack from Raquel Gonzalez. And I believe she had hit the moonsault. She had hit her finisher, right? She had hit her finisher on Dakota. That's when Raquel came in there. So she already hit her finisher once. She recovered and kicked out not only of the Raquel attack, but she recovered from Dakota as well and hit her finisher again, hit a second moonsault on Dakota for the win. So Io looked very strong there, that she was actually able to weather that storm. She had Dakota beat once, had some interference, which she still was able to kick out of and recover from, and then beat her again. So really, Io Shirai kind of beat Dakota twice in that match, and I like that. After the match, Raquel immediately nails Dakota from behind, starts beating her ass, and then Rhea Ripley comes out to kind of make the save. Big stare down there between the two. And I don't know what that means. You know, I feel like Ripley's got something going with Mercedes Martinez right now, and now she's kind of getting in the face of Raquel. You thought they were going to go at it a little bit, but then Raquel Gonzalez kind of powders out and leaves Ripley there alone. So I think Ripley has also got her eyes on the NXT title as well. So who knows what's next? Who's next for Io Shirai? If she's going to have to wait to see who comes out of the Mercedes Martinez and Rhea Ripley feud, or if she'll have another title defense prior to that happening. I don't know. I don't know the direction of the women's title now after that match, but I liked the match and I was happy that Io won because, again, you know, much like Keith Lee, she just won the title, and there was a part of me that really didn't want to see her drop it. So I was happy that old Shirai won there. Good for her. Stone Cold, appreciate the $2. Who do you think will challenge Cross first? I don't know, but I would probably guess maybe Tommaso Ciampa. He's back soon, right? Isn't he back next week? So maybe he gets just another random shot first. I don't know why. He lost pretty decisively to Cross last time they faced, but part of me thinks that might happen. I'm curious what Adam Cole will do, especially if he's now making the transition into babyface, that maybe he could go after Karrion Cross, but I kind of feel like Karrion Cross should be unbeatable right now, especially the way he disposed of Keith Lee here, which we'll talk about in a minute. Oh, yeah, no, I know you didn't, Jack Curran. I know, I trust me. I know disrespect when I see it, and you weren't being that. But I did see a few things on social media tonight, too, you know, during the match, of people with just these really kind of bizarre takes that you can just kind of almost, they almost show their age in the takes. And I certainly wasn't thinking that you were like that. It's just, it's nitpicking in a match like that is just kind of something that I didn't think was really necessary, because it almost kind of blurred the heel and babyface lines when you have a guy that's already a clear-cut heel being shit talked to by a heel, and then they have a little thing, you know, one guy's got to work babyface, you know what I mean? But I just thought the match I was just kind of judging the match for what it was, and I wasn't really trying to get myself too caught up in that, but I can see what you're saying, sort of. It's just a critique that I don't have of them. Victor, thanks, brother. $2. I got some bad news. I think Cross might be injured. Fuck, no, don't tell me that. What happened? Is that the lowdown? Oh, yikes. Yeah, this is from Sean Ross Sapp. Triple H confirms to me that Karrion Cross wasn't just selling. It looks like he separated his shoulder. They're getting him an MRI. What does this remind you of? The Demon and Seth Rollins at SummerSlam just a couple of years ago. Ugh, motherfucker. Oh, that's horrible, man. That is horrible. Separated shoulder keeps you out, correct? You can't, work through that. You have to let that heal and recover. Oh, man, if they had to strip Cross, oh, no. I wonder where he suffered that injury. I was kind of trying to get ready for the stream, so I wasn't 100% focused on the match, but I'm sure it was on a slam or something like that to the mat. Ouch, because Keith Lee's so big and heavy. Oh, that's a shame, man. Oh, that's a big shame. We'll see. We'll monitor that. Maybe we'll get some news tomorrow on that. But we got to talk about that match next, Karrion Cross and Keith Lee. This match gave me and delivered to me like exactly what I thought it would. You know, those two guys just beating the shit out of each other for a while. I liked that Keith Lee was exerting his strength. You know, even in the opening lockup there, he shoved Cross right back. He's like, don't mess with me, dude. You know, and Cross, you know, fought back a little bit, but Keith Lee kept basically just at will overpowering Cross whenever he wanted to. You know, Cross was just relying on, you know, a lot of strikes and things like that. And he was taking Lee to the limit now. I thought that Corey Graves, who incidentally was on commentary tonight for TakeOver, returning to NXT, which I didn't at all hate. Not a big Graves fan, but it was kind of cool to hear him on NXT again. But I kind of felt like he was almost giving away the ending. I thought Lee was going to retain based on Graves' commentary because he was being so emphatic about how he feels that Cross has got Lee's number. He kept saying that Lee is delaying the inevitable, that there's no chance in hell that he's going to win. Karrion is going to put him down. Doesn't matter if he kicks out. Doesn't matter if he survives. All he's doing is just prolonging his NXT title run that will come to an end here no matter what. And I'm like, damn, Graves, you sure are harping on this. It's making me think that the opposite of that is going to happen. But turned out that Cross did, in fact, win in the end. And help me out. What the hell happened? He pinned him, right? He didn't tap him out. He pinned him in the end. And after he had already kicked out of a Big Bang Catastrophe, I think, right? Didn't Lee hit him with his big super power bomb move once, and he kicked out, and he was able to survive that? So both guys survived a ton of offense from the other. I mean, Keith Lee was just getting pounded and kept coming back, and Karrion Cross kept, you know, surviving all of Keith Lee's offense as well. So they both proved themselves as, you know, badasses here, and that's why I said in my predictions that I felt like which guy would benefit more from a victory. I thought Cross would, because Keith Lee's already been so established and he's been so dominant. To put a guy like him down who's had a fantastic 2020, he's had a fantastic year or so, dating all the way back to like last year at Survivor Series, mixing it up with Brock in the Rumble, winning, you know, the title and ending Adam Cole's long run. He had a couple of losses there. I mentioned last night or on Thursday that he took a pinfall loss to Johnny Gargano a few weeks back in a roll-up on NXT. So we've already seen him like get beat and pinned. And Karrion is off to such a good start, and he's on such a roll, and he's tearing through everybody. To kill that momentum now, it's like if you were going to do that, I wouldn't do the match. That was kind of why I was thinking it was going to be Karrion, because if you don't intend to put him over, I wouldn't do the match yet. Why do that? Why put all that effort into Cross coming in, all of that hype, that presentation, the music, his badass persona, and then give him a title match right up front and beat him? If you're going to do that, wait, drag it out. Let him just have a kick-ass 9 months of just annihilating people, then beat him, you know, when he looks like such an unstoppable guy. But to bring him in now and do it that fast, I thought that would, you know, I don't want to say kill him or bury him, but it's not what I would do. You can use the same analogy in the Brock Lesnar and Rock match back at SummerSlam 2002. I wouldn't have made that match if Rock was going to win. If Rock was going to retain the title, I just have him beat someone else and continue Brock on his ass-kicking ways and save him for another day. So sometimes WWE almost in a way gives away the outcomes when they have matches like that, because it wouldn't make any sense for them to beat Karrion. You know, why would you do that? He just got there, and he's very Brock-like, and why would you kill all of that? You know, save it. Kill it later. If you're going to kill it later. Don't kill it early so you have nothing else to run with. You know what I mean? So that's the way I was looking into this match and going into this match with that sort of mentality. That's why I was like, you know, I don't see any other outcome than Karrion Cross winning here, even though it seems weird to put the belt on Keith Lee and immediately take it off of him too. That's almost equally as strange. If you want to make another Brock, if you ever want to have a chance to even come close to making another Brock, these are the type of things you have to do. And I'm not saying Cross is going to be another Brock. He might not. If he's injured here and his momentum is killed and they strip him of that title, which they're going to have to do, you know, I don't know. Hopefully he can come back and kind of resume here. But this is just such dumb luck, you know, that not only WWE seems to have from time to time, but the fans seem to get dealt like this, and not to mention the talent. So best of luck to Karrion Cross. I really, really hope that the MRI does not reveal anything too serious. If it reveals anything that requires, number one, surgery, or number two, months and months of rehab, that is just going to be a huge loss, and that really deflates my enthusiasm in terms of him winning. Oh, my God. That sucks. Well, we'll keep our eye on that. Hey, I want to shout out Bubba Anderson from Twitter, who just tweeted me. So how typical of a birthday in North Carolina to have prime rib and baked potato and fresh green beans. Those are three of my favorite things, man. Yeah, give me a nice medium rare prime rib with some horseradish cream sauce, a loaded baked potato with everything on it, including chocolate chips and strawberries, and some fresh garlic butter haricot vert. Mwah! No, I'm kidding about the chocolate chips and strawberries, but I want everything possible in a baked potato. Cheese, butter, bacon, green onion, everything loaded up. I would love to join you for some prime rib, my man. Ay. Man, I'm bummed now, man, about hearing that news. I mean, I was scrambling trying to get up here online. I wasn't paying attention to Twitter. I didn't even see Sean tweet that. Motherfucker, man. Oh, that's a shame. Well, let's just hope for the best here. Keep our fingers crossed that Cross doesn't have to be out any sort of significant time, because if it's a situation where he could be back in 6 weeks or maybe even back in 8, 8 weeks might be pushing it. 6 weeks, then I say keep the belt on him and don't strip him, because I think that's just, then what do you do? Put it back on Keith Lee again, which is fine, but damn, it just it undoes everything they did tonight. And that's the nature of athletics. Injuries will kill any type of sport. Wrestling, basketball, football, anything like that. How many times has a star quarterback gone down in the playoffs? Like, God, you got to be fucking kidding me, you know? Oh, that's a shame. That is a shame. I've had a lot of shoulder problems, and they're not fun, and they're hard to come back from. So, God, that is just a bummer. So anyway, that kind of wrap. I mean, we only had a 5 or 6 match card tonight, so there wasn't a ton to talk about in terms of, really getting into it there. And we had a very strange Dynamite tonight as well. Chris Ludecki, thanks, dude, for the $5. Better group of in-ring performers, the Undisputed Era or the Radicals? Radicals. I mean, Undisputed Era is awesome, but come on. Eddie, Benoit. I think those two alone are better than all four of the Undisputed Era, but that's because we're all biased towards that old era. But it's also, I mean, plus the resumes of those guys. I mean, Eddie and Benoit were pretty amazing. But maybe when you do judge all four of them, there's two in the Radicals that I like outshine everybody. But I would say that Roderick is just as capable in the ring as a Dean Malenko, and any of those guys I think are just as capable of Saturn. So. But Malenko was a stud, too. Still going Radicals on that one. Yeah, you're a Steelers fan. Ben went out last year, week 2. Ben went out another time, too, didn't he? I remember one year when Brady twisted his knee, like in the second game, and he was out for the year. And I think they still went on to have a pretty decent season. That Garoppolo kid got a contract out of it and stuff. A lot of times when that happens, the backups get contracts. Who's the guy? There's a guy in Philly. Michael Vick got hurt, right? And then the dude came in, and then he got a huge contract in Seattle or something, and he wound up sucking. So, yeah, that's a very common thing in football. You see the quarterback go down, backup comes in, has a great season, gets himself a contract the next year. Unfortunately, we don't have a backup for Karrion Cross. Man, well, best of luck to him, man. Yeah, I'm almost like on the fence about interim champions. Because interim means just that. It's just interim, Like, I don't want to just have the belt just to give it back or whatever. I think if you do that, you have to crown a whole new champion, I think. But, I mean, other sports do that and stuff, so I suppose. No, I must not have, Barry. I missed your second super. Oh, yeah. No. Oh, Jesus Christ. What did Cornette say about Mandy and Sonya? The last two people in the world that needs to be shit on right now is Mandy and Sonya. And that angry, psychotic maniac of a man better not have shit on them after they just went through one of the most traumatic experiences anybody could ever go through. Who knows what he said? Didn't hear it. Actually, don't even care. Don't want to know. AEW is a mess. If only we had a cleaner to clean it up. I think they might. Yep, Scarlett always does. That's for sure, man. Man, I'm so bummed out now about the about that news. That is just that just sucks. Sucks. All right, well, what else we got to talk about? I guess we can preview tomorrow a little bit. We got a big Summerslam ahead of us, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Live from the Thunderdome. Oh, he said they shouldn't have been together because of their TV storyline. Fuck you, Jim Cornette. I will do whatever the goddamn hell I want. It's not like they were out in public. It was the middle of the night inside of a private residence. Fuck you, Jim Cornette. For a guy that's supposed to be old school, that's ignorant as shit. Maybe you can make an argument that they shouldn't be going out and seen in public together. Don't go to the movies together. Fine. I'll give you that one. But don't hang out behind closed doors, behind closed windows, in the middle of the night in the privacy of your own home. You're basically saying don't do that in case there happens to be a stalker in your house and he blows the storyline. You know how dumb he sounds? Jesus Christ, Jim Cornette. Can you be a bigger asshole? That's my Chandler Bing voice. Can you be a bigger asshole? My God. Well, yeah, I'm sure Cornette did say it was horrible what happened to him, but that doesn't matter. Of course, nobody mentions that. Who cares? If he said it was horrible what happened to them, guess what? He should have said that. That's what a human being should say. I'm not going to give him credit for something that you should just say as a decent goddamn human being, Midwest goon. That's just what a normal person should say. Of course he should say that. But what he said about them not being together was worse. That's worse. That's hysterical. That's like when Trump says a whole bunch of stupid shit, and then he says like one tiny good thing. Like, we didn't mention that. I'm like, yeah, because that's what any decent human being would say. Any decent human being with a functioning fucking brain would say that, and you're not going to get credit for it. Isn't there a Chris Rock thing about that? Doesn't he have a stand-up bit in that where he says, like, I hate it when people want credit for things they're supposed to do. I take care of my kids. You're supposed to take care of your kids. You know, shit like that. What you want, a cookie? I remember that whole bit. He's right. You're not going to get credit for something that you're supposed to say or supposed to do. That's stupid, Midwest goon. And that's the problem with a lot of thinking with people these days. I totally disagree with that. Man. Well, at least his co-host disagreed. But still. Yeah, I just think that's a little bit stupid. You know, you can't. I understand, like, the kayfabe stuff. I understand being old school. I even talked about this on Thursday back in the day in '87 when the Iron Sheik and Hacksaw Jim Duggan got pulled over together. And they had like cocaine. They were in the middle of a feud and they were driving together. They got pulled over. Sheik had cocaine on him. I think there was some beer bottles in there. There was drugs and alcohol in the car, and they were together and they got arrested together, and it was all over the news. I remember the kids talking about it in school. I remember it like in the lunchroom or something. Everybody's like, Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Iron Sheik are friends. And they're like, no way. They hate each other and shit. You know, and Vince was pissed. He fired them both. Duggan has told the story on shoot interviews. He said, Vince called him. He goes, Jim, what have you done to us? You know, this is not the same thing. And, you know, I can understand. I mean, I was mad enough when WWE got mad at Rusev and Lana for like announcing their engagement because on TV they weren't together. And I'm like, you can't tell somebody not to live their lives. And now we're in the social media age. It's not the 80s. So now when two people of a heel and a baby face, or, you know, people who are not together on TV are married in real life, nobody would even know. But now in like the social media stuff, it's like I felt like they punished him for that. And I disagreed with that they should, you know, I was like, WWE, you cannot tell somebody how to live their lives, you know, but at least that was something that was preventable. At least that was something to where they didn't necessarily have to make those social media posts. They just wanted to because they're humans and they're allowed to make their own damn decisions for themselves. So you can maybe even argue that, even though I totally disagree with WWE being mad at them, at least you can argue that. This is a completely different thing, you know, where it's like you can't go to your friend's house and watch a movie, or you can't go to your friend's house and hang out and crash there or spend the night because fans might be in your home trying to kidnap you. You know how that sounds? Damn, man. Yikes. Adrian, good to see you. Appreciate the super chat. Another great show tonight, Greg. I thought it was great. I thought TakeOver was really good. And I'm hoping for good things tomorrow. I think it can go either way. I think we have a lot of matches to look at. We have a lot of different outcomes. And I think we need to see a return, a big storyline break, a swerve, something like that's got to happen. We need to see a Roman Reigns. We need to see a CM Punk. We need to see Retribution revealed. I like the idea somebody pitched after last night on SmackDown, because I watched, when Retribution hit the ring and they attacked Braun Strowman, right? And then the locker room emptied out. Who was the last guy to come out there? Who was the last guy to get there? And who didn't show up the other Friday either, because he was on the phone with Maurice because the pH in her bidet wasn't right? The Miz. What if the Miz was behind Retribution? I'd be cool with that. I don't see a downside, really. I think that might be fun. Again, I don't know why Miz is trying, what he needs to get Retribution for, other than title shots. Otherwise, he's a very successful wrestler in the company. He's one of their top, media people, the guy they send out to do public appearances. He's got a reality show. He's on that Wipeout knockoff show that they currently have. He's always doing something. He's always active. He's always a part of the WWE. So I don't know internally if it would really make a ton of sense for him to be behind Retribution, but if he's basing it on the fact that he doesn't get opportunities and he doesn't get title shots, maybe. And I think he'd be a great leader of any group. And this is twice in a row now that he's kind of showed up late. Oh, sorry, I wasn't here, guys, kind of thing. Just a thought. I like the idea. Yeah, or Miz could be a red herring. And I think that that's probably more likely, because when you do that 2 weeks in a row, fans are going to pick up on it. The week before, I chuckled when he was like, sorry, I was on the phone with Maurice and she had a bidet issue. That made me laugh. And then last night, him coming out kind of late like that, I'm like, they're trying to throw us off. So I'd probably lead towards a red herring more than it actually being him. But if it was him, I think I'd be cool with that too. Sonic, you're thinking we're going to get a 5 out of 10 for SummerSlam tomorrow? It's got to be better than that, right? It's got to be. How many title changes are we going to get? 2 women's titles, 2 women's world titles, 2 men's world titles, 1 tag. What else? Are there 2 tags or 1 tag? 1 tag on the line. What's the, I can't remember the damn card. But I think that we should at least get something really crazy in the Fiend and Braun Strowman match. We might not get it in McIntyre and Orton. I almost feel like we might get a clean finish there, but some of the other matches are going to have some real crazy stuff happening. Then I think Strowman and the Fiend are a very big possibility, especially with Alexa Bliss. Retribution got involved last night. Maybe they can get involved again. Maybe Goldberg comes out. Maybe Roman comes out. I don't know. But whatever they do, there better be at least one match where we legitimately did not see it coming. And I do think they did confirm last night, right, that Bayley will, in fact, face Asuka first. They did a beat the clock thing or something like that. So is it still going to be Asuka and Bayley? Help me. I forgot. I didn't write down any of the results. I only YouTubed it last night. I wasn't feeling good yesterday. I was really under the weather. I thought I might be sick, but I'm not. I was just really, really tired, and I didn't have the energy to really analyze SmackDown for the most part. Roman Reigns being a part of Evolution would be cool too, or Retribution would be cool too. Yeah, well, luckily, Wrestling for Life, we got a pretty good, stream audience here and stuff. We don't have a lot of those, assholes here. You get one every now and then, but it's not that bad. But I know what you mean in general, especially, on social media. It seems impossible to please the modern fan. I don't know why. Life is too good for them. That's why they live in a crazy era and a crazy age where they have everything at their fingertips. And they don't understand what it used to be like. So they're spoiled, absolutely rotten. Which is why everything is a problem for them. I don't think it'll be John Cena, and I doubt it. Again, Cena. Why is he getting Retribution? The only thing Cena would need to get Retribution on is the fans, which is why I think the Roman Reigns stuff would work. But even with Cena, I think the fans have just moved on to their next hatred because they have the attention spans of fucking gerbils, so they can only hate things for so long before they move on to hating something else. So I think almost Cena is, if this was 2013 after WrestleMania 29, after he beat The Rock and all the fans hated it, and it was the night after on Raw, that would be a great place to reveal Cena as the leader of Retribution. But here, 7 years later, 7.5 years later, nearly. I don't think he fits. Yeah, Bayley first, then Sasha. So, and I had mentioned in the predictions, what did I wind up predicting there? I think I predicted, I guess, Bayley to retain. I think Bayley would retain because I think Sasha should stay on Raw. I don't know how any of this is going to work, but I also think you want to play off the possibility of there being Asuka 2 belts. And the only way to do that is for Asuka to win the first match, which means she should dethrone Bayley. But Bayley's held the title for, they said it last night on SmackDown, 320 days, something like that. It's a long time. It's almost a year. So I don't know if I see her just dropping the belt in the second match on the card or whatever. And I'm curious if they're going to be back-to-back. I'm curious if that's already pre-worked out or if it's going to be a deal where right after, let's say, Bayley retains, Sasha's immediately in the ring, like wanting the bell to ring. Okay, let's go. Let's do it now. Let's do it now. And then Bayley stays out there, tries to help Sasha, screws up, allows Asuka to win the belt. And they played that up last night, too. You finally see, when, I forgot which one said it to the other, but we've seen them volunteer each other for matches before. And finally, I think Sasha said something to Bayley, like, well, you're going to volunteer me again or whatever. So they're not hiding the subtle tension there between them. It definitely exists and it's definitely there. So that's got to play a role at some point. So if you do the deal tomorrow where one of them drops the belt and the other one retains, that's just going to create natural tension there between the two. And then if you go into their title match the following week in the tag match at Payback and they somehow drop those, that could implode the situation. And there you go. You got Sasha challenging Bayley for the SmackDown title. And I think when Bayley drops her title, it won't be to anybody except Sasha. That's who I think should take it off of her. So I think she needs to survive Asuka. But I think it would be more fun if Asuka won the first one, and then we can all wonder if she's going to walk away with 2. So I'm completely clueless as to what's going on tomorrow. I have no idea. I completely pulled my predictions on Thursday out of my ass. I don't really know how they're going to do it, how it's all going to play out, and if we're going to get into any other storyline elements in there. If somebody's going to turn, or if there's going to be interference, or any other swerve. Shayna Baszler could get involved. Nia Jax could stick her face into that situation too, I suppose. We could even get a DQ. Who's to say we don't get a DQ or something? We could. And speaking of Sonya and Mandy, they upped the ante, I guess, in their match, and that is really confusing too as to what the motivation for that was. From what I understand, please help me correct my incorrectness here if I'm wrong. Is it no longer a hair match, and it's now just a loser leaves town? Or is it loser leaves their hair and leaves town? Or does just their hair leave town and their head can stay? I'm not sure. But if they've decided to change the hair thing and just make it a loser leaves town match, why is that? I heard somebody say that Sonya Deville got a part in a movie or something, but I don't think that would be a reason to have it. Maybe the situation was really traumatic for her. Maybe WWE insists that she take some much needed time off. And I think it would be cool if it was hair and loser leaves town. You can shave Sonya bald, give her 2 months off, write her back into TV somewhere down the road. This really opens up the door now for all of these ideas about the briefcase moving from Otis to one of the women. And I touched on the Sonya idea on Thursday. After last night, this opens up even more doors because if Sonya beats Mandy, you could have Otis be like, here's the briefcase. Somebody said this on the predictions video. They said, well, what if Sonya beats Mandy and then Otis doesn't want her hair to be cut, so he goes, hey, if you don't cut her hair, I'll give you my briefcase. So maybe the same thing can be done with Sonya if she beats Mandy, and then Otis can give her the briefcase to save Mandy's career, and then Sonya cashes in. But then she wins both times. I think if there is going to be any sort of a cash-in like that, the loser of the hair match needs to be the one to cash in type of thing. So unless it's a swerve, I talked about this too, maybe a bigger swerve than we're expecting. Maybe Mandy is the one to go heel because last night they had to pipe in the booze for Sonya. After what Sonya Deville went through in her house last week, that if that would have been in front of a live audience, she would have been cheered hard. So maybe WWE realized they kind of need to turn her babyface. Maybe they do. I know we're in the middle of what's becoming a double turn with The Fiend and Strowman. Maybe you get 2 double turns. Maybe you get Mandy going heel. Maybe you have Mandy using Otis to get the briefcase. He gives it to her. then she cashes in, and then she turns on him or whatever and breaks his heart, and then maybe he goes to Sonya. So maybe Mandy beats Sonya in the match and shaves her head. She's celebrating backstage with Otis. Oh, my Peach, I'm so proud of you. I want you to have this. Here's the briefcase. And then she goes out and cashes in on Asuka after she wins both belts and cashes in and wins the SmackDown title or something like that. And then tells Otis that she never loved him and she has no interest in him, and I'm the champion now. And because Mandy's better at that. Mandy's that blonde bombshell type of character that prior to her kind of being a babyface here, she was one of those I'm better than you type of chicks. Why would anybody want to be with you when they can be with me because I'm so hot and awesome? All that stuff. She can be the heel, and then Sonya can come back in later as a babyface and beat her for the title. But then again, where does that leave Bayley and Sasha in that whole situation? So it might be a stretch. That might be very far-fetched to do something like that with the briefcase, but something tomorrow has got to happen with that briefcase, I think. Because I just can't see Otis cashing in. Maybe he does. Maybe he shows up in the McIntyre or the Strowman and Fiend match and walks out of SummerSlam with the title. That would be some weird shit. I think it would be much more fun if one of the women got their hands on it. So I'm not completely sold that it has to be Sonya. Who says it can't be Mandy? Who says it can't be Mandy? And Sonya can't be the one to beat her for it. But then again, maybe Sonya's taking some time off to... just to kind of ease her mind a little bit because it was very traumatic. But Mandy was in the house too. Even though it was Sonya's house, Sonya's the one that had to make those court appearances. Did you guys see that? The testimony that Sonya Deville had to do in court there. They even showed security footage of her house, of that motherfucker walking in. She sees him and runs away, and literally 3 seconds, he's right there. Like, that's how cool. They were 10 feet away. They were 10 feet away. Man, that's got to be some shit, man. So she's been through a hell of an ordeal. So, maybe she needs time off, but you would think that even though it was her house, Mandy was still there. Mandy might need that same time off. So I don't know what the reports are saying about why this match was changed to Loser Leaves Town, but that home invasion might very well have something to do with it. I don't know. Either way, just a scary situation for everybody, and I'm so relieved that Sonya survived that. My God. What's up, Antoine? Good to see you. Appreciate the $5. Cross injury hurts and helps. With Lee getting beat clean, I don't see a right away shot, and Cross can build with promo on any match. So you're saying maybe Cross hangs on the belt, like if he's injured, they don't strip him type of thing? I'd be into that. It just depends on the extent of the injury. I just think it sucks, man. Absolutely sucks. Okay, thank you for that, Zane. Hair versus hair is scrapped. No hair match, no hair match. That's weird why they did that. I thought Sonya was going to look cool, bald. I thought 100% she was going to be the one to have to lose here, especially after they did the hair cutting thing. Maybe she didn't want to or whatever. Maybe she just didn't. Like, I just went through the hell of an ordeal. Don't make me look like a crazy person on top of it and shave all my head off or my hair off. I don't know. I didn't know that, Ryan wrote it. Thank you for the update there. The Fiend and Braun Strowman is now Falls Count Anywhere. So that is going to add an element because now it opens up the door for everything. It opens up the door for Retribution. And based on what we saw last night on SmackDown with Bray Wyatt being injured, loaded in the ambulance, and reemerging as The Fiend, we might see all three versions of Bray Wyatt in this match if it's Falls Count Anywhere. And I don't know. I mean, I know SummerSlam is going to be live and everything, but maybe they can do some sort of editing here. Kind of like how they did with Matt Hardy in the Stadium Stampede, how he came out of the ice chest as someone else. I mean, that's no dumber than the Fiend coming out of the ambulance, right? It's the same exact thing. There's no difference whatsoever between the two. So I don't think you can criticize AEW and then be cool with WWE doing the same shit. But that does open up the door for a lot of stuff. Retribution, more three faces of Wyatt, or the briefcase. The briefcase. And I also talked about this on Thursday because everybody's been talking about that idea of moving the briefcase to a woman. Why not move it to a man? What if I mentioned this too, and you guys I needed help because I couldn't remember the segment, but I talked about that old Raw segment from 2001. I think it was from when Undertaker was trying to get the match with Triple H at WrestleMania 17. And he had Kane was up on the balcony with Stephanie over his head, and I think and Taker wanted something from someone, and that's what I couldn't remember. And you guys aren't like, oh no, it was Triple H. He wanted a match with him at WrestleMania. that's how he got him to do it, by threatening just to Peter Pan Stephanie right off the ledge there. And it was great when he wouldn't agree, and then Undertaker was like, Kane, send Stephanie down here. I still laugh at that 20 years later. So it could be a situation like that where somebody, the hair matches off, but maybe somebody grabs a hold of Mandy and just grabs all of her hair in their hand with a big pair of shears in the other hand, like, Otis, give me that briefcase now, or she loses it all, kind of thing. And then Otis is like, okay, here, growl or grunt or whatever, gives him the briefcase, and then he goes out and cashes in on Strowman or The Fiend, or I don't think you can cash in on Orton or McIntyre, but if you can pass it to a woman, why can't you pass it to a brand? So I think that needs to play a role too. Maybe it could be Roman Reigns coming in and getting that briefcase because he was supposed to be on SmackDown. Maybe he shows up, and I don't know how they would do that or how he would find a way to get the briefcase from Otis, and then shows up at the end of the Fiend and Strowman match, cashes in and beats whoever's left standing, and then reveals that Retribution was with him. I don't know. That would be too much. You wouldn't need both. You would need the briefcase and Retribution involved there. I don't know. We better see something fun tomorrow. And I want to come up here tomorrow after SummerSlam with a whole bunch of awesome things to talk about. We better. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here in a few because we do not have a very good audience in here, considering you got, lots of people. Yeah, Solomonster's up right now. He's probably got 9,000 people watching his shit. Fightful's up. A whole bunch of people are up live. So I'll go ahead and cruise out of here, and we will save the big night of wrestling chatter for tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have more news on Karrion Cross and what his situation is with his injury. And boy, wrestling, it sure does a good job of kicking us in the balls, does it not? How many times have we had to go through this? And I just really hope that we get some positive news regarding Karrion Cross, and this does not involve having to strip him of the title, because I think that would just be a huge momentum killer, especially with what they set in motion tonight and putting him on a similar trajectory that Brock had. Imagine back in 2002 in that match at SummerSlam with with The Rock, after he beat him. And the next day it was reported that Brock Lesnar tore an ACL, and they had to take the belt off of him. Would Brock have even become the star that he did had his momentum been killed that quickly the same night that he won the title, and the next night on Raw he's got to forfeit it? It's never ended well for anybody else. Didn't end well for Finn Balor, and it might not end well for Karrion Cross either. So it's a shame. But we'll monitor the situation, we'll take a look at it, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow night. So I will catch you guys right here, same time, same channel. Well, actually, not same time. We have no clue when the pay-per-view is going to end. 15 minutes after it goes off the air, that's when I will be live for our review. We'll hang out, and we'll talk about the entire weekend in general, and we will have just a heck of a time together. So you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy SummerSlam tomorrow. Follow me on Twitter @GoodMikeWork, and join me for some live tweeting throughout the show. Should be fun, and I'll catch you all tomorrow night. Be good. Peace.